selfish husband refused to skip this year's Christmas family vacation even though our baby is due soon. Now he's begging for my forgiveness after missing the birth. My fiancé and I are expecting our first baby due December 30th, but his family is insisting he go to their vacation home in Florida with them for the holidays. Because of the baby, my fiancé is not able to go, but his family came up with the idea to go and come back on the 28th, which is ample time before the baby is due. My fiancé has a severe case of missing out, so he actually bought a ticket for December 15th 28th. His reasoning is that his parents really want him there and his siblings will also be going. I argued back that I really want him here and I'll be having a baby, so what's his reasoning then? He never gave an answer to that and just said I was being unfair. Pregnancies are unpredictable, especially in the last trimester, so if anything happens leading up to the due date, I need him there. With my family gone as well, I'll be completely alone. Not to mention, I'll also be spending Christmas without him. He's been spending Christmas every year in Florida since he was 15, and there will be many more trips after the baby is born. I don't know why he has to go this year. Anytime I bring it up, it results in a very uncomfortable fight about my expectations to put me first rather than his parents. Honestly, I don't get why that's such a hard thing for him to do or why he acts like I'm such a bad person for wanting him to do that. I don't even bother bringing it up anymore because nothing ever changes. He's always going to choose his family no matter what, and act like I was in the wrong all along. I called my parents the other day and my mom ended up flying out to see me, along with her sister who's a nurse. They both talked to my fiancé about his travel plans and they both heavily insisted he got no on the trip at all. My fiancé thought it was better to adjust his date so that he arrives on the 22nd, not on the 28th. His mom is not happy about that at all, and hates he won't be there for Christmas. She suggested he fly back later on the 25th instead so he can spend a part of Christmas Day with them, but he said no. This still isn't ideal for me, though, especially since his family doesn't treat me like family. They've never said it outright, but little things suggest they don't consider me completely part of their family yet since we aren't married. I've never been invited to Mother's/Father's Day events, I'm constantly left out of family Secret Santa, not being allowed to sleep in the same room when we visit etc. They didn't even bother inviting me to spend Christmas with them, but would gladly steal my fiancé away knowing that I'm due very soon. My mom decided to have a talk with his mom where she told her that my fiancé needs to come back immediately, otherwise she will be taking me to her home and they will not be welcome to visit the baby. His mom said that me giving birth was not as important as my fiancé spending time with their actual family. I just started sobbing. I knew she never considered me family, but that was too far. My mom jumped to defend me, whereas my fiancé stayed very quiet. It was a very heated argument, and the outcome was me going to my parents' house. I called him later to ask why he didn't say anything and if he still thought going on vacation was a good idea. He said yes, because I was causing him a lot of stress and being with his family was helping. I told him I'm stressed because his priorities aren't in order and he's constantly choosing his family over me. He got mad and asked why it always came down to him having to pick between us. I told him that he never chose me and that hurts a lot. The conversation continued without much resolution, and he hung up on me. Days later, I gave birth on December 20th, 10 days earlier than what we thought. My mom, aunt and best friend were there for me, and they made an excellent support system. My fiancé did not make it for the birth, and he was only notified about it afterwards. I messaged him that our daughter was born and she was healthy. He tried to video call a lot, but I didn't pick up. He returned home on the 22nd as planned, and texted me asking me where I was, since I wasn't at our house. I think he thought my mom was bluffing about moving me. He tried to come by my parents' house many times, and at one point sat outside in his car for hours when nobody would let him in. We let him see his daughter on Christmas, and we discussed our future. After the call with his parents, I knew I didn't want to be involved with a family who was so selfish. I had talked to my mom and aunt about breaking off the engagement, and they agreed it was the right thing to do. They're going to support me every step of the way, something my ex-fiancé refused to do. He tried to get me to forgive him, and said his mother was very persistent about this particular trip because she wanted to show their family that he wanted to mend his relationships with them. He also let me know that his sister-in-law had been saying some awful things about me to him and his parents. I had told her some things in confidence a couple years ago about some issues I was having with him and she turned it around on me. I knew I couldn't marry into a family this toxic, and I definitely couldn't let my daughter grow up with them. I was firm with calling off the engagement because in trying to mend his relationship with his family, he broke our family. He has shown me who is more important to him, and it isn't me or my daughter. He has apologized profusely, and asked to stay with me to help with his daughter. I let him know I didn't want him around my daughter at all. He wasn't even there when I gave birth, so he doesn't deserve her. He left that day, but strongly refused to leave, so we had to threaten to call the cops if he didn't. The next day, he came back and said his parents would like to see my daughter as they come back. I told him there was no chance of them seeing my daughter. They never considered me part of their family, and I will not leave my daughter with total strangers. I have no ties to them anymore, and neither will my daughter.